Okay, what's going on, guys? This is Michael Ray Newman here, coming to you deep in the heart of Texas. And I also have my sidekick partner, Edwin Britt. What's going on over there, Edwin?
Hey, Michael, pleasure to come to everybody at Boss Crane today. I'm coming to you from North Carolina, but I'll be heading to Texas here pretty soon.
That's right, man. We're going to be coming live later in the week with you guys. Hey, we really and truly are grateful. We appreciate you guys having us on. We don't want to take a lot of time doing a lot of introductions. We want to jump right into this. The topic today is going to be communicating like a boss, and just talking about leadership and understanding how we lead and who we lead and whose we are, right? I mean, so today we want you to do a couple of things. We're going to set the stage really quickly here. We want you to make this about you. Today we need to make it about you. What does that mean? Well, we spent so much time, even this week, even today, even this morning before you jumped on this old call here, you have had to handle your family, your spouse, your boss, your work. Even today, when you're out of pocket a little bit, we're still kind of glancing over at that phone because we're connected 24/7. And so what I want you to do today, and every time that we do one of these, Edwin, and we do them all over North America from our home office a lot of time in the last year, but we're starting to travel again. But as we go out, people are always tugging, and we have to take time to make it about us. So as we start today, I want you to do number one. I want you to make this time about you. And as you make it about you, and if you really can visually run on parallel tracks, as you pour into yourself, you'll be able to take it out and push it back, because what we consume is who we are and what we push out. So that's what we want to talk about today. And as we get started, first thing I want to ask you a question here. Attitude, effort, or skill? What's the most important one of those three? Well, you're not right in front of me today for you to answer that, but think about attitude, effort, and skill. They're all three very important, but it starts with number one, your attitude, because if you have the right kind of attitude, it allows you for pressure to go down, confidence goes up, and then you can work a little harder. You'll give a better effort to develop the skill that you need to develop in that moment, Edwin.
So critically important, Michael. Our attitude is really something we can control, and it begins with that. What you send out is what you get back. And so how you frame your day, I call it having a competitive home court advantage. How can we just really pour into ourselves and those around us? Because again, what we send out is what we get back. Our attitude is so critically important. It is a little thing that makes a great difference. So whether we're talking about leadership, how we communicate, whom we communicate with, you want to be known as someone who has a positive, powerful attitude. And of all the attitudes, the healthiest one that you can have is an attitude of gratitude. So not only do we want you to have a positive, powerful attitude, but we want you to encourage you to have an attitude of gratitude and give that away to others. Again, what we send out is what we get back. I'd love to be known for something. When people think about Edge Global, we certainly hope that they attach it to two guys that are always identifying with a positive attitude. And we can lead that way. You know, our leadership styles vary, just like our personalities vary. And people gravitate, though, to those individuals who have a positive attitude. It is so critically important. So if you want to communicate like a boss, let it begin with your attitude. And I'm going to encourage you to do something to begin and stimulate your day each and every day. Let me give you a quick example of something that I mean. My wife and I have been married for over 28 years. We've been blessed to be able to raise three beautiful daughters. And oftentimes they're now either out of the home in college, so they're not at home as often, but all through their growing up years, because leadership starts at home, communication starts at home, and then what we go into our business with the right frame of mind. I would start my daughter's day, and my youngest is Claire Emma. I'd say, "Hey, Claire Emma, how are you today?" And she'd say, "I'm okay, Dad." And I'd say, "You're born to win. You're special. You're valuable. Today, have an attitude of gratitude." I literally do that. What I'm doing is arming myself, equipping myself to have the very best encounters in the most critically important relationships that I have. What that allows us to do, Michael, as you so well know, is to impart that in all of the relationships that we have, professionally and personally.
Yeah, you know what, Edwin? I think that it's a process is what you have. Everything that you and I teach is based off process and procedures. So as you go through leadership today, and what you were doing when you do that, when you go back and forth, you're pouring into your daughter when you do that, but you're also setting yourself up, right? You're putting yourself in the right frame of mind to have that first attitude or that first conversation. That you have the right attitude, that first conversation of the day, and the second conversation being able to set you up for success. That's what we're going to do today. As you make this about you, we're going to hand you processes. If you're and you lead 360, don't kid yourself. Whether you're leading yourself every day, whether you're pouring into your family or people around you, that's what this is about. What I really love about what you said, Edwin, about pouring into your daughter, setting yourself up for success, we have to recognize that everything has a process from when we interview to hire to promote to and before as they come into our organization and leave our organization, we have a process, and we have to understand as communicating, we have to understand where your people that are your training, the people that you're leading, the people that are reporting to you, where they are in that process, Edwin. So these 4 stages of growth, when we can understand where someone is before you meet them, that's like a cheat sheet. It gives you an idea of where they need to be. And we'll talk about trust a lot, and we'll go into the trust process again because it's the foundation of what Mindset of a Champion and Edge Global is. Everything that we teach goes back to that because it's all about that muscle memory and those reps. But as we go through that, I want you to talk a little bit about understanding them and meeting them where they are.
Wonderfully said, Michael. I was anticipating you saying meet them where we are. We have to set high standards, and we want to set not perfection type standards, but excellent standards. And as a leader, as someone who wants to communicate like a boss, you said it so well, we have to meet them where they are. That is so critically important. And what we've discovered is there's 4 growth stages. Sometimes we get promoted into leadership because we were a top performer, perhaps as a salesperson or operationally. In our financial department, we get moved into leadership. We're not always ready to be the leaders we need to be. So whether as a leader and the people that you serve, focus on the word serve there, and then lead, where are we? And really these 4 growth stages, we're at one level, we're unconsciously incompetent, moving from the bottom to the top of what you see there, meaning we just don't know, we don't know. And you bring people into your organizations who are basically unconsciously incompetent. And sometimes there's a big gap there, and we can lose people that might end up being big stars in our organization if we don't meet them where they are and we don't have a process to mold and inspire and motivate and guide them with a vision, one of integrity. As we move through that, we become consciously incompetent. What that really means is we're not very good at some aspect of our role, and we know it. Sometimes as salespeople, for instance, we aren't very good at prospecting and cold calling. So we have a tendency when we're not good at something or don't think we're very good at something, not to do it. We have to push through that. We have to keep working because the 3rd level in this 4th growth stage is being consciously competent. That means we're pretty good at what we do and we're aware of it. But you know what, Michael, you and I talk about this all the time. It's a journey, not a destination. We never really arrive. And the wonderful thing about communicating like a boss and leadership skills is consciously competent is actually the most ideal place to lead because you can still remember what it was like that first week or 2 weeks or 30 days when you're transitioning to something new where you felt out of kilter, out of rhythm. You didn't feel very valuable. So you can still relate down to that level, meet them where they are, right? Identify what their why is, attach to their purpose, ignite their passion. That's what leadership is about, building a bridge from where they are to where they want to go. Consciously competent is a wonderful level to lead from, but there is a level beyond that. And that's really exciting because being unconsciously competent, sometimes that sounds like, well, you just make it look easy. Yeah, you just don't understand what I have to go through. You just make it look easy. Be careful what you say there because actually when you're unconsciously competent, it means you've got your 10,000 hours in. But please, when we arrive at that level, occasionally I've seen people, Michael, and I know you have as well, who develop sort of this aloofness, this arrogance to that. And what that tells me is they are pursuing something called success. We're going to talk a lot more about that. But the key level there is being unconsciously competent, which says, hey, I've got my 10,000 hours in. I know how to work together. I know how to pull it together. And I care enough about you to meet you where you are with humility, with dignity, with respect. And there's an example of a difference between being a boss and being a leader. Michael, in order to accomplish those things, we have to have a vision. We have to have a process. Let's talk about what that next process is.
Yeah, Edwin, when you talk about that unconsciously competent, that is, and there's consciously competent. Some of your best managers are consciously competent. They realize they hadn't arrived. They're not, Edwin, you've had like you said, those 10,000 hours. You've had those reps. You understand what the process is. You know how to take someone and help them bridge that gap. And I'm talking about thinking, planning, and preparing with them, and being able to relate to somebody, meet them where they are, knowing where they are in the process, knowing that as you hire somebody, it's critical when they get lost, confused, they're going through pain, that you already know they're going to go through that pain because you've seen it, because you guys have a process system in place that'll measure, monitor, and track how they're doing. And you can bring them in and you can let them know where they are when you need to. We don't do it for them, but we set them up. We give them a great path to be in. And as you're uncovering those needs and offering solutions to be able to come take that action together, it is this, Edwin, and this is what we build everything on, and it's called trust.
It really is, Michael. It's a process that allows us to have a vision and a path and a foundation to serve others. Leadership and communicating like a boss really has so much more to do with not necessarily what you know, but building a collaborative vision so that you can discover what other people know, what they feel like, what they want to accomplish. When you can meet people where they are and help them identify personally their pathway to move forward so that they can achieve the things outside of their profession that are important personally, what happens is then they are more committed to attaching themselves to a vision, to a culture. What you get is a collaborative. See, oftentimes we get cooperation in the workforce. Okay, you're my boss, so I'll do what you say. Yeah, you're watching what I'm doing. You expect this report, so I'm going to deliver it. See, what we discovered is people go through their life not really fulfilling their true potential. And that costs organizations millions and billions of dollars. As you look around the room, what if everybody in the room is operating at 60, 70, 80%? And what if we could turn that into 80, 90, 95%? That's what a process that looks like trust. When people trust you, they will follow you and they will do more. You know, the reason people leave the workplace, it's often not about how much money they get or not get. It's whether they feel appreciated and valued. And what this is a 5-step process that creates alignment for you and those that look to you for leadership, Michael. And as leaders, as communicators, we have to spend time thinking, planning, preparing, and practicing. And you and I talk about this often, Michael. You're someone who runs and operates 4 or 5 businesses. You've been a leader at a very high level for a long time. Would you say that people just don't, as leaders, we get so caught up in the day-to-day details that we don't create enough time to truly plan and prepare so that we can be a responsive leader as opposed to a reactive leader? What's your thoughts on that?
I 100% believe this one is the big miss. It was for me for years, and still to this day, because I am in some areas unconsciously competent, and I move so fast, I get ahead and I forget about who it's about. Because I want you guys to understand this as we go through this, a process, a system, everything you do, a procedure that we have. Remember, you're supposed to make this about you. Let's reset a little bit, reset this place. You got to make it about you today. And we'll give you a process. What it does is this process has done for me. I educate and validate as I move through my life on things. I learn things, but then I also validate, like, oh yeah, I do that. When Edwin taught me this, it gives me a guideline. It gives me a benchmark. It gives me a step back and go, how am I tracking with this person? And thinking, planning, preparing before we start is so critically important. And having a process that you can bench yourself up to, because understand this is a fact. And everything that I've done that I've been successful with, I didn't build the business. I hired the right people and I gave them a super track to run on, and I built the people up and made them feel like Edwin just said, that wanted, knowing they have a hunt, they have a skin in the game, right? They have a dog in the hunt. That's when I did that, because I don't build a business. I build people, and the people will build the business. And that's where you can become a business owner opposed to an operator, a business owner opposed to someone who is self-employed, someone that you can actually be an operator. That's where you can step back and be a business owner and just drive the business, have the vision for the business, opposed to operating the business, Edwin.
And what that allows us to do, Michael, just to expand upon that, is as opposed to just isolating and leaning into our own personality style and what we want to accomplish within our own way of communicating.
Well, that's a great point.
There are 4 personality styles, and we have to be able to relate to all of them. It doesn't mean that we change who we are. We have to be authentic in our message, but we do have to have a step to relate. And the best leaders, the best communicators, they understand how to relate in a meaningfully specific way. So our relate stage is so critically important. When we begin to relate to the people that look to us as we communicate and serve, then we can truly uncover the need. If we're trying to discover a gap in performance, not only, it can't just be what we think, we've got to illuminate the light bulb so that 2 parties connect together, the person you're looking to lead, the group you're looking to lead. That moves us again from cooperation, Michael, to collaboration, a very powerful step, a very subtle but very powerful step. When everybody involved in the process, the communication process, understands the true need, then and only then can we implement a solution, a leadership communicative solution, right? That's going to solve or address that problem that's ongoing. It's a journey, remember that? We never arrive, not a destination. We never look to close sales or, boy, I won that confrontation. They came into my office and, boy, I let them know exactly what they need to do. But no, a solution that allows us to take. And Michael, I'm going to hand this back one to you, man. This last step in the communication process, it's your favorite one. When you build all that, when you take the time to have this leadership process and communication process, what does it allow you to do at the very end of the day, brother?
Take massive action, baby, together. That's what the coolest part about this is when you can really relate, understand, uncover that need, and offer a solution with someone, and you see the light bulb go off in that person that works for you, the person that you're leading, the person you're managing. When you see that go off in their head, you're able to move together. But Edwin, you said something pretty powerful, and we're going to go in the different type of leadership styles there are here in a few seconds. But I mean, you said something, the different personality styles. Now, do you want to be right or do you want to win? And as a leader, we want to win. As a leader, we want to understand. You want to use things like new information, new decision. You want somebody to encourage those people. You have to set them up by planning, and preparing, telling them, listen, I want you to come to me with the problem. I don't want you, but you don't want to feel like they're just bitching at you all the time, right? Every time I'm coming in, I'm getting hammered. Every conversation, I'm resetting, getting hammered here. I want you to come in with issues, not problems, issues, right? You don't want to react. You want to respond. We encourage that. But when you come in, I need 2 solutions from you. I need 2 possibilities. And don't let them come in and go, we got a problem, because they're trying to take that monkey and that monkey is on their back. They're trying to put it on your back. And then you turn back around, you got to take control sometimes and say, what's your problem? So there's time for us to be a little bit stern as leaders. And then we say, listen, I want to come to the best solution. I want to win. I don't want to be right. We win or we learn, and we're going to go iterate and try, but I'm going to listen to you. People feel like they're listening. And if they have a trust process, which I would share this with every person in the organization, Edwin, we've done this over and over again. We go to places for 3 and 4 years as we travel everywhere, and we teach the trust process. It's a life process. It's a sales process. It's our leadership process. When it comes to communicating, it really comes down to one thing. That's called listening. As we go to the next slide, Edwin, I want you to really talk through this for just a minute before we move
Michael,
on.
You and I combined have, we're going to date ourselves a bit, but almost 60 years, a little over 60 years of professional leadership and experience combined. We've been doing this a long time, which means we really failed a whole lot, right? And failure, as my mentor said, failure is an event, not a person, right? What I discovered, Michael, is we've been traveling around North America, and it applies to every organization, certainly applies here. And so I wrote this for all of our audience. Listening is the most neglected skill in home or business today. I learned that the first time from my great mentor, a gentleman I got to travel with and speak and share the stage with, Mr. Zig Ziglar. He wrote about it in his book, Top Performance, a leadership book. They revised that about 15 years later, and guess what? It was the single biggest obstacle then. Now, here in the year 2021, without a doubt, the ability to reflectively listen It is the most neglected skill. Now, so what I'm going to do is just walk you through very quickly 6 steps to becoming an effective and reflective listener. It will transform your ability to inspire and lead others. You want to communicate like a boss? It starts with listening. I've been #1 in sales for 32 years, Michael, and people ask me about that. And here's my quick answer. I'm the most prepared, but more importantly, I'm the best listener in the room.
Absolutely. And I 100% can back that. Sorry, but I can.
Yeah, and thank you. And sometimes what that sounds like, and when you connect the ability to reflectively listen with the trust process, it'll transform every relationship you have for the better. The first L in listening is leadership. You want to be a leader who is known to listen. I reflect back, Michael, there's an organization that's invited us back year after year after year that's been in business for over 100 years. They really believe in training. And if you recall, we worked with their management group, and their HR director the next year said, do you know, when you talk to me about listening, it has changed everything for me. And they all walked around the room and said, yes, he is so much more effective. Because when you become a leader who listens reflectively in the moment, you have more information. And the reality is this: the person who has the most information has the most influence. Leadership is about influence. That allows us, the S is the service and solutions that are attached. The service and the solutions that are attached to what we discover and what people share with us. And then the T in listening is time. Everywhere we go, everybody wants to be a better manager of their time. We're going to talk more about that in a later series, but the reality is we don't manage time, we prioritize time. So when you have an opportunity to listen, be there, right? Focus, have a process, make it about the other person. When we're able to do that, what we really want to focus on is our energy management, not our time management. When you become a better listener, your energy is going to go up. When you combine that with the trust process, resistance goes down, creativity goes up, pressure goes down, performance skyrockets. And then now be present and relate to them where they are. I'm going to conclude this portion, Michael, and hand it back to you with something that I heard Sam Walton always said. Sam Walton of Walmart fame, when it was still a nickel and dime store, he would go into his manager's stores and he would come in and sit down and say, I know what I know. Tell me what you know. That is a reflective listener. When we become a reflective listener, it allows us to reflectively respond.
You know, Edwin, I can just see Sam doing that because Sam he took more notes than anybody else. When he would bring that person in, that sales rep, that vendor, that employee, and he would set him down, he would pull his notepad app and actually do this in front of him. He'd pull over to his thing. He would click his pen and he'd say, I'm really excited that you came by today, but I know what I know. Let me tell me what you know. And what does that make that person across from you feel like? Body language is one of the most important things. You know, it's only like 3% audio, right? It's all like visuals and the skills of people feeling like you're engaged or you're present. That's powerful what we just said there. And the cool thing about what we're doing today, guys, remember, real quick check, make it about you, right? Are you staying with us? Don't feel like you have to take notes like crazy because this is recorded and you guys have it. You can rewatch it. But that's what's really powerful today. Now, how do we transition this little quick tip like Sam Walton did, knowing that that person felt important to today? When somebody says to you in your office, or somebody's walking into a water cooler conversation, or when we're looking at a Zoom call now today, like we've been doing, and there's a bunch of distractions going in the background. You don't even have your britches on half the time, right? You got the kids going crazy, maybe the dog's doing this, all the crazy stuff that's going on. If you really want to connect with that person there, you pull up your phone and let's get started. And they start talking, you should interrupt them and say, whoa, hold on just a second. Take that phone, turn the ringer off, go put it way over here, right there, and then say, okay, man, I got you now. So let's talk. What does that set that conversation up? Does that set that conversation up for success? Does it set it up for distraction? Does that person feel like that you have their undivided attention? And that takes about this long, but time is so important when we're bridging that gap. And as we go to the next slide, Edwin, I just want you to understand, or everyone out there to understand, that listening piece is super important. I think it really, when you come to leadership, it really starts it's the foundation of everything we do. It starts it starts the conversation, and it lets them know that you really care and that you're really engaged.
Michael, during 2020, which was a challenge for everyone watching today, certainly a challenge for all of us, unprecedented. You said something one day when we were talking early on into the pandemic, and it was really a strategy that you had employed. And I encouraged you tonight to really incorporate this into our presentation, because it's something that if leaders took the time to personally apply this principle, they'd be better equipped to respond versus react. And these next couple of slides, as we move through them, are going to talk about that ability to respond. Because let me tell you, when we react out of anger or frustration. What we're now pushing out is negativity. People don't follow that, right? So we've got to have a strategy that allows us to respond, to be the leaders, to rise up as the leaders when the pressure is tight, right? Michael, speak to these 4 R's that you implement, and you were doing it at a really challenging time in your business life and in your personal life. Would you please reflect on these 4 steps?
Yeah, I will. This really came to me one day when everything was just waterfalling on top of it. I truly was drinking out of the fire hose. I was getting more on me, on me than in me. Everything seemed to be just one punch after. I was just getting one kick in the groin after the other, to be honest with you. And it came to a point, and here's what we do a lot of times, even if it's we take our work life home, we take our home life to work, and we become this wandering generality. We never are getting anything accomplished. We're confusing all this activity with accomplishment. And that's the problem that we have as we go through life. So and as a leader, a lot of times we're putting out a lot of fires, and all you're doing is working from behind at that point. And then the next person comes, and we carry that passion from the last conversation to that next conversation. That might be good, it might be bad. You may not come. Then that's when you can't meet them where they are. You can't take the time to understand what personality type and what part of the 4 stages of growth are they in, because you're just trying to catch up from the last conversation that you had 3 days ago. Hadn't even taken care of you yet. So what I had to do is step back before. I mean, it was a 15-second, 10-second, a minute and a half. Okay, where am I? Which one of y'all kicked me? Kind of a deal. But I would look and see the next conversation I was going into, whether it was cross companies, because I do run 4 or 5 different companies, and I had lost a couple of leaders in those companies, and then I had a personal thing that we were just all craziness going through. So I would step back and I would just pause and refocus and reset where I was, and I would refocus on the conversation that I'm walking into right then, and then I would reset. Okay, reset everything, pull in, take a deep breath, check up from the neck up, restructure, and then I would relaunch into that conversation, how I should do it as a listener. And really, they pouring into those people. They didn't know what happened. They don't have to know that. It's not going to help them. I had a chance to meet Lou Holtz, Edwin. I was really blessed to be the executive producer of the Ziegler documentary. You shared the stage with me, you mentored with me. I never got to meet him, but I got to meet some really cool people like Dave Ramsey. But Lou Holtz was awesome, right? Because he goes, man, don't tell people your problems. 80% don't care, and 20% are glad you got them. He told me that right in his living room, right in Payne Stewart's living room. So he was an awesome storyteller. So what you have to do is sit there when you refocus and you reset, and I want you to talk a little bit about that, but then you can restructure where you are. It takes this long. I mean, it's this little bitty quick. And as you relaunch into these different conversations, it gives you the ability to stay on top. Now, then you got to use your own technology or your paper or however you need to do it to stay with that conversation to review it later. But sometimes we just continue to go into it and you play from behind all day. This, Edwin, gave me the opportunity to start playing from a level playing field instead of playing from behind all the time.
Michael, you and I have been a team together, a duo together. I've been privileged to travel the world with you over the last 5 or 6 years. And I feel like we're really making a difference, pointing to people towards something called significance as opposed to success. But when you shared that with me, I came back and I said, Michael, what I heard was a disciplined response. And the reset is a strategic adjustment. The restructure, now it's a proactive plan. And to relaunch, well, now you're relaunching from where? A foundational strength that yields positive energy. That, ladies and gentlemen, is our trust, communication, and leadership process in action right there. It's quite that simple. And as we move to the next couple of screens, Michael's going to remind you of a couple key leadership principles that are very simple, very easy to emulate. Remember this as we move forward in these next 2 slides. It's not who you know. It's not what you know. It's what you implement that matters. So as we swing
Hold on
to
a
this
second.
oh, you got something else for us?
I want you to say that one more time, and I want to make sure they don't miss that.
Should I stand up and say it, or can I just sit down? Is that all right?
No, just get loose, baby. I'm
Okay, I'm
already
loose now.
You go ahead.
Yeah, I can't wait to get to Texas, you know?
You know, baby. Here we go. Say that one more time, and we'll jump into the next couple of things.
As leaders and as communicators, it's not necessarily who you know. It's not what you know, but what you implement that matters. That's
right
the
there is
simple
powerful
stuff, man. Yeah, it's powerful.
And that's old school. And, you know, I run my companies exactly like I run my family. That's just that's just kind of, it's all pretty much things that I learned before I was 10 years old. I put into play today. And I'll give you a couple examples as we walk through this day. And the first thing you want to do when you come into somebody, because so many times we tell people to do something and they don't do it. So you got to inspect what you expect. We call it the white glove treatment, right, E? When you go into people and you talk to them, you want to make sure you're inspecting what you expect. And what I got that from my mom, because when I was little, here's what she would do. She would say, let me tell you something, boy. I need you to clean your room. And I'd say, no problem. And I want you to make your bed. I said, okay, I could clean my room. I could do the dishes, clean the toilet. Me and my brother, we split up the chores. But what I didn't understand is why I had to always make my bed. It was making my bed because every day I got in it. It's already made. She'd come in Sunday evening. She'd change the sheets and make clean. She'd make the bed. She'd walk out Monday and she'd say, make sure you make your bed tomorrow when you get up and go to school. I'd get up Monday. I wouldn't make my bed. I'd come home Tuesday or Monday evening. She'd say, make sure you make your bed tomorrow. I wouldn't make my bed. She never said another word, but she told me what she needed me to do. And she let me run all week. Friday comes around and guess what? I'm going home, Edwin, dropping my books off, my backpack, picking up my little pillow, my sleeping bag, saying, going to Rodney's. We built a tree house. We used to camp up in that tree house at night. We even had a big stench cord lit up. It was like it was warm up there and it was hot in the sun. We had the windows open though. And we had wall to wall shag carpet. It was shag carpet that we pulled out of my parents' house when they got new hardwoods. And we put the shag on the wall thinking it was supposed to, it was wall to wall and the roof. So we had shag carpet wall to wall. And she said, where are you going? Friday evening. I said, I'll see you Sunday. She said, you're not going anywhere. I'm like, why not? You hadn't made your bed all week and I told you to. So she's inspecting what she inspected. I dropped my backpack and I was like, oh my gosh, I took off. I'd make my bed. I'd come back. I'd pick up my sleeping bag and my pillow and I'd take off. Say, I'm see you. And she goes, where are you going? I'm going to Rodney's. No, you're not. You're not doing anything this weekend because here's what you didn't do. You didn't do what I expected of you. And I'm picking the white gloves. I didn't make your bed. You're not going anywhere. Go to your room. So what did she do there? She inspected what she expected. I failed and she disciplined from that. That's what we have to do as leaders. She'd let me, I said, well, I'm going to my room. I'm not eating all weekend. She'd say, good. You eat too much anyway. She'd let me cool off. She'd roll in on Sunday evening. She'd sit down on the bed that was unmade. She'd say, take your sheets off. I'd take them off. She'd be going to wash them. And she goes, I'm going to give you just enough rope until you start getting in trouble and about to hang yourself. And then what you're telling me there, son, is what kind of responsibility I can let you have. So think about that in today's, fast forward this, we were coaching Edwin to 78 locations or 78 general managers in North America. I walk in and the general manager and the corporate guy and myself as a consultant, we're sitting in the general manager's office. There's over 400 acres out there on property. And the guy tells me, the big guy talks about how corporate squeezing the GM and they bitch about corporate and all this, the big guy brother. This is like just a couple of years ago. And then they go at 4 o'clock, the guy from corporate says, hey, let's go eat some chicken wings and drink some beer. And then we go eat chicken wings and drink beer. The next morning, he leaves. I come back. The general manager says this to me. Now think about this, powerful. My mom was like this. He goes, man, we're doing some really good things here. I wish executive vice president would have walked property. He would have saw us doing some great things. What a miss. What's more important than that, Edwin, is what if he hadn't have been doing the right thing? Because I'll promise you, out of those 80 GMs that we were working with, they wanted one of two things. They wanted you to go out on property with the white gloves and check it out, or they were praying that you stayed in that office because they weren't doing things the right way. So you reprimand in private and you praise in public. If the guy's doing bad, you bring him in your office. You have him sit in your chair. You go sit in the other chair and you say, hey, man, if it was you, what would you do? If you were me, come on, man, you're better than this. What's really going on? And then we do what we've been talking about this whole time. You listen. because you're going to get more traction. Because when you walk out of that office, that guy's going to be 10 foot tall, bulletproof, and ready to run through a brick wall with you. If the guy's doing great, you pull the white gloves off and nothing happens. Guess what? We're about to go to the next screen, but guess what that is? What that does for you, man? You can get on to all 80 GMs and you start pressing this out over the airwaves, and then you make it a new what? A new procedure, a new process, and then we implement it across North America, and the rising tide raises all boats, Edwin.
So true, Michael. And what you're in, those great illustrations, those great stories. By the way, I know your mom. I'm blessed to know your lovely mom, and she's still the boss of the household there. And Michael still has that. Michael still got that tree house. He just moved it from where he lived as a kid to his new house because he's really still a kid, right?
Well,
Michael,
we got 3 tree houses now, and we got a zip line,
right.
and we got the in-ground chair. So yeah, we have a lot of fun out there for sure.
Yeah, hey, guys, we have fun. We hope you guys are having fun. We want to leave you with 2 more key points, and all of this is ingrained in our trust process. And when you have a process, it does allow you to implement the 24-hour rule. I'm going to toss it back to my business partner, Michael, and talk about, you see the sand dripping through the hourglass. And as a leader, when we have a process, when we plan, when we prepare, when we practice, when we implement, so when we have a process, we know we can lean in to sustainable results, sustainable, predictable results. You want to elevate everybody you're working with, take all this information and begin implementing it. But Michael, why is the 24-hour rule so critically important towards leadership, and exactly what does it mean?
Well, man, I implemented this rule again. I just take from what's real life and push it and play, and then we learn from it. I used to coach little kids. My son now, he's a big old older dude, but since 5 years old all the way up, I was able to coach pretty much the same boys. And I would open up every conversation. I would set the stage. I would lay down the procedure in the beginning, not with the kids, but that was a different conversation. This conversation I had every single time, and it was baseball. And every single parent, this was with the parents I had this conversation with. And I said, let me tell you something. When you get upset, there's going to be some point during the season that little Johnny, you think little Johnny should be batting 4-hole, pitching or playing shortstop, and we're going to lose a game. And you're going to think to yourself, and you're going to tell your wife or your husband that little Johnny would have been playing 4-hole or pitching or playing shortstop. We would have won that game. Don't come to me then. Wait 24 hours. Because guess what? I'm upset too, we lost. And you're going to get what you get. I may have the emotion. So when you can, as leaders, wait 24 hours. And then fast forward to today, we have an auction industry. We supply employees to auctions, their drivers, and we have over 600 people some days. We walk in there, and I see, and we started with 10 people, and I was running it. And now we have over 600. We have over 50 supervisors that come in every morning, and we go through process and procedure. When I'm walking through on sale day, when we're herding those cats, and we have everybody on property, and if I hear a procedure being broken that I ran from a manager, if I get involved right then and either get on him or say, hey, you're doing this wrong, that's gonna be worse than I would just letting him go. That's why you see coaches in the NFL making notes. They're not talking about it, that they're putting it in their back pocket, and they're going to handle it in practice. Because if you're having to coach during a game, you haven't done your job in practice. So if we haven't set them up to succeed and have a procedures manual, to have that game plan, to have that blueprint, they're gonna fail anyway. But you have to wait. When you can, pull back and hit the 4 R's. Wait 24 hours, because when you can do that, you're gonna respond opposed to react. Now, really quickly, what does that mean before we go to the next slide? Respond or react. If I go to the doctor and the doctor says, "Ooh, man, you had a reaction to the medicine," is that good or bad? That's pretty bad. But if the doctor says, "Here, I want you to take this medicine for the rest of the week, then come back and see how I'm doing," and if they come back and they go, "Oh, your body's responding to the medicine," that's positive. So when you can, 24 hours is always, and I've been on both sides of it as a parent and a coach, by the way. And every single time I waited, Edwin, I felt a lot better the next morning, because I could think I could come from here opposed to speaking from here.
We have that, and as leaders, as communicators, we do have to have those tough conversations. People ask us all the time, how do I handle that, Michael? I've got some trepidation about what we're about to do. I know I've got to call into accountability. I'm going to encourage you to implement all the things you've heard tonight or today, but also lead with gratitude. Let that first expression, remember we started today about gratitude, lead with gratitude, lift that person up, and then relate to them and work with them in a collaborative way and let them leave your office or that environment actually better than you found them. That's how you communicate like a boss. And we want to give you an illustration in this next slide of exactly what 3 leadership styles, 3 bosses, leaders we've seen, Michael, and speak to that a little bit, and then I'll go through that.
Before we go to that, Edwin, yeah, absolutely. I didn't mean to interrupt you there, but hey guys, you're going to have this. You can go back to it. Remember, I hope you're making it about you and your company and your family, because I want to give you something that'll just twist the lens a little bit and give you a little bit better focus. Implement this in your family, implement this in your business, and use it and find out, where am I here? What does trust look like? It takes reps. Because, and you speak of those kids, when they were T-ballers, they came to me and the dad's been teaching them how to hit, and it's been all like this. No matter how many reps you've taken the wrong way, you need to take that many reps to get back to even, so you can build the right muscle memory, doing the right process and the right procedures. And we all said in the very beginning, we build on trust. That's our process. That's our foundation. But when it comes to communicating like a boss, right? But leadership, when it comes to that, it's listening. And there are 3 types of leaders that we're going to talk about right here. But I want you to kind of take this right here and jump in. Then we'll come back and wrap it up real quick here. We're almost done. But talk about those 3 leaders and how important it is to be intentional about being intentional.
Yeah, Michael, what a great way to frame it there. What we've discovered is, and without a doubt, there are really 3 types of leaders. And we're going to start at the bottom and move our way up. The most ineffective leader is a dismissive leader. Again, millions, and I say billions of dollars are lost in productivity, and key people are lost simply because people violate a lot of the things we've talked about in this presentation today. And they dismiss people's ideas, oftentimes not intentionally. They don't really see the full picture. They see them as an asset of production or a unit of production. They don't see them in the totality of who they are. As leaders, again, we have to inspire, we have to encourage. It's our role to help bring out the very best in us. So if you find yourself to be a dismissive leader, there's a chance that you're really just leaning into your own personality style. It's kind of my way or the highway. I'm the boss applesauce, and you really are a boss. You're not a leader. And if you think about that, think about the connotation you hear behind boss, being a boss. And that is, my boss is on my case. My boss rode me all day today. Can't ever do enough for my boss. When you talk about a leader, you talk about someone who I look up to, I look forward to interacting with. They lead me better than they found me. The second level of leadership is a debative leader. Oftentimes they mean well, but when someone brings an idea, we have a tendency to shut them down. We don't really listen. We don't really have a process for uncovering what it is they're trying to share with us. And so therefore, people never get involved in a collaborative way. They simply just cooperate along the way. They go through the motions because we're constantly debating. Yeah, but you don't know. That doesn't mean you can't be decisive. It doesn't mean you don't have to make the decisions, the big decisions sometimes. Of course you do. But you can do that from the most effective form of leadership, and that is a tell me more leader. You want to be a powerful leader in 2021 and moving forward? Then become a tell me more leader. A tell me more leader gets more information. They get more buy-in. Therefore, creativity goes up, resistance goes down, friction goes down, and now you've got a united vision, a championship. As leaders, you're doing one of 2 things. You're either chasing championships, and Michael alluded to that. You're running behind, and therefore we're reactive, and we never really create that connection. We're chasing the number, I got to hit this. From this day forward, we're going to encourage, and we're going to reinforce this more in some of our later series. Make a decision right now to become a champion. You see, when you make a decision to become a champion, you're making a decision to become a tell me more leader. And championships, well, they, my friend, are a byproduct of that pursuit. Michael, I'm going to hand it back to you, brother.
Well said, bro. I mean, I love this. And the series that we're going to talk about, it gets in later. We're going to see you guys a couple more times, or we already have. So we hope you guys got some great stuff out of this. And understand, it doesn't matter where you are right now in those 4 U's. Everything that we were talking about, go back and look at the trust process. I hope you took some good notes, and make sure that you're not reacting, that you respond when you go this, because it doesn't matter where you start. It's a matter where you go. And life is a journey. And I'm going to promise you this for sure. it's more fulfilling than the end. The journey is so much more fulfilling than the coach towards the target. Edwin, as we coach, and you coach guys, all over the country, and we coach people individually and a lot of C-level executives, and we always want to be coaching towards the target. It's really easy. You're like, oh yeah, man, I get it, Michael, but I'm running this company. I'm talking to the number one guy. I'm running this company. I got to deal with this. I got to hit my numbers too. That's true. But when you have everybody else and all the people on the right people on the bus at the right time, and they have a process that you can do a checkup from the neck up. When you sit down in front of them real quick, we're evaluating like this because we're on the same page, because it is trust and it is response and it is a listening type of situation. They feel like they have a seat at the table and they can walk out making a difference. They're going to stay engaged. They're going to hold themselves accountable, and they're going to feel like they're part earners for you guys. That's what your department will do. That's what the people in the field will do for you. That's what the people that are out there that are running the big stuff and the big rigs will do for you guys. I want you to understand we're very grateful for the opportunity to do this. I mean, right now is a great time because in construction industry, I know for a fact, Newman Construction in Texas, we're banging it out right now. I know we've had some crazy weather down here, but Edwin, I can't wait to see you soon here, man. Thursday, we're going to be live with you guys, so I'm excited about that. Remember this: play hard, have fun, and make it count. Above all else, be nice. Because my granny told me this, Edwin, a long time. She said, son, she told me a lot of things, but one thing she said was, God gave you 2 ears and 1 mouth, boy, so you can listen twice as much as you talk. Now I'm pretty sure she didn't tell me that because I was listening too well. That's what we talked about today.
That's right.
And then she said, if above all else, be nice, because people won't always remember what you say, but they always remember how you made them feel. So appreciate you guys. We'll see you on the next side.